With the Jets season over, a lot of the focus is going to be on the future of the New York Jets and where we could potentially be going and who our franchise quarterback could potentially be. But let's take a look at the past, the not-so-distant past. Let's take a look at last year's draft class. Let's give out some grades. What does the report card look like for Joe Douglas's first draft? J-E-T-S, Jets, Jets, Jets! What's up, guys? Welcome in. My name is Ryan. I'll be your pilot today. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button. If you've been here before, welcome back. I love having you here. All right, Joe Douglas has been heralded as a draft guru and an aficionado in the front office, our best GM since Parcells. Well, we had his first draft this past year, and we can finally take a little bit of a look back and see what our grades fully are for it. And, you know, these aren't complete rankings because obviously players develop as they grow. It's not going to be a finished product right now. But I wanted to look back and just sort of see what I deemed as successful picks and which ones, may not have been so successful. I'll give a grade for each selection, and then I'll give my overall grade for the entire draft class. So first up on our list, it was the left tackle Mekhi Becton, 6'7", 369 pounds. This behemoth towers over the likes of any defensive lineman. The guy's a monster. The guy's an absolute animal. Pro Football Focus graded him out as a 74.3. He was the 31st ranked tackle among all tackles, left tackles and right tackles, for this season. His pass block grade was a 76, and his run block grade was a 73.8. I really like this pick a lot. I was a huge fan of this move. I wasn't sure who we were going to go with, if it was going to be, was it Wirfs, I think was the other option at that point in time. You could have gone either way, and he had a great year down in Tampa Bay. But Becton looks like he might be the best of the bunch. He looks like he definitely has the highest ceiling. He had the lowest floor at the time, so there was an inherent risk at that point in the draft where you're like, okay, is this guy just going to, bottom comes out and it's going to be terrible? Well, that's not the case. We were able to run behind him and run behind him well. The left side of this line is dominant, and I'm excited to see us get a guard next to him, someone like a Joe Thuney or a Brandon Sheriff, to play alongside Becton and really make a dominant left-hand side, like just road grader status, just bulldoze over everyone. I am excited to see him grow and develop a full offseason with all these rookies. I mean, you got to think these guys didn't really have a legit offseason with COVID going on. So overall, I give this an A-plus pick. I think you have one of the hardest positions to fill in all of football, your left tackle, locked down for the next 10 years. As long as he can stay healthy and just kind of not get banged up the little bits and throughout the year. Home run of a pick, so A-plus for Mekhi Becton here. At number 2, or in the second round, I guess, the second round pick, DENZEL MIMS, number 59 overall, standing in at 6'3", 215 pounds. He graded out as a 69.4 on Pro Football Focus and was the 67th receiver of all wide receivers graded. He finished the season with 23 receptions, 357 yards, and no touchdowns. He did have a 2-point conversion, so technically got in the end zone. He caught 82% of the catchable balls thrown his way. He only had one drop. He only played in half the season due to a hamstring injury. And that was, I would say this was a disappointing rookie season for DENZEL MIMS because we didn't see him for the whole first half of the year, and then the second half of the year, we got to see like little flashes and glimpses here and there, but he really never got into the game plan at all. It felt like they didn't force feed him the ball the way they probably should have. I didn't think Sam is going to be able to get him the ball over the top the way you'd kind of like him to get the ball over the top. I would have liked to have seen DENZEL MIMS get way more touches than he got this year. Now, when I'm looking at this, we traded down from, I don't know, I want to say it was like 48 or something like that and dropped down to 59. So DENZEL MIMS and Chase Claypool were both on the board when we were making our selection, and we traded down, and I'm thinking, oh man, this is not what I want to have happen. I wanted DENZEL MIMS. DENZEL MIMS was like the guy I wanted. So as far as my thoughts on this, I think it was a great pick for Joe Douglas to slide down, still be able to get MIMS. I think it shows some self-awareness as to where guys are ranked and what teams are possibly thinking. I gave this a B for this season. Now, I like the pick. It could be an A for me, but I do think the injury with the hamstring, the lack of progress through the season, I think MIMS has a lot of potential to break out next year. But for this year, I'm going to call this a B, and I'm pretty happy with this grade overall. I think it's going to be I think his floor, from what we've seen, is a solid number 2 wide receiver, and I think he definitely has the upside of a number 1 wide receiver, someone like maybe an A.J. Green. I know Joe Blewett's always brought that up, so I like this. I like the future of these first 2 picks. Then we get into the third round. We're talking ASHTYN Davis, pick number 68 overall, standing in at 6'1", 200 pounds. His Pro Football Focus grade was a 53. His Pro Football Focus rank among all safeties was a 79. Now, this one was an interesting pick. I didn't really think we would go safety so early in this draft. To me, it was a move with like some foresight. You knew Marcus Maye was going into the last year of his contract, so you may not be able to retain him in the event you were going to sign Jamal Adams. We also had the Jamal Adams controversy with wanting to be traded, so we weren't sure if we were going to trade him or keep him. So there's a lot of volatility with the safety room. Well, we wind up trading away Jamal Adams and Marcus Maye. We still have to resign. Hopefully that winds up coming through. We draft ASHTYN Davis in the third round. And so he allows 1 touchdown throughout the course of the year. Overall, not that bad. He is a physical specimen, really fast guy, and he can play all over the field. I would say that was his best attribute for this season. He just kind of filled in a lot of holes across the board. When you go by snaps, he spent most of his time at free safety, but when you look at his snaps across the board, he took 78 as a defensive lineman, 86 as in the box. I don't know if they grade defensive lineman. It's not like he had his hand in the dirt, but up at the defensive line, which I don't know how defensive line and box, I don't know, whatever. 78 on the defensive line, 86 in the box. 47 from the slot, 15 out wide, 176 from the free safety position, 11 in kick coverage, 18 in kick return, 24 in punt coverage, 7 in punt return, and 1 in field goal block, extra point block. So the guy really had an impact on the special teams, had an impact on a bunch of different aspects of the defense. I think watching him grow, maybe develop under a Salah-led defense, would be nice to see. I gave this overall a C+, and it could be a little bit higher. I think growing pains early on, probably played a little bit of a decision in my grade here. I like the guy. I like the promise that he has. I just think, maybe it was a little earlier for me for safety than I would have otherwise liked, or would have otherwise liked. Moving on, our second pick in the third round, JABARI ZUNIGA, pick number 79. He is 6'4", 246 pounds. He graded out as a 33 on Pro Football Focus, and his Pro Football Focus rank was ungraded. This is an incomplete for me. He only played in 106 snaps this year. Really had a disappointing start to his career because I really wanted an edge rusher, and I was hoping this guy could kind of be it, and we didn't see really anything from him throughout the whole season. Not many opportunities to shine, so we're going to look to see how his progress could really go in the 2021 season and beyond. I don't want to see another, Florida third-round pick edge rusher not pan out after the whole JABARI ZUNIGA thing. So, not JABARI ZUNIGA, the Ja'Kai Polite thing. Jeez, I'm mixing up names now. Overall, I gave this pick a D for right now, and that's just because we didn't get to see a lot out of him. It was a position in need, so at the time, I liked the selection, just not a lot of results on the field. So again, hopefully another year in this system, or not in this system, but another year with a full offseason and a full complement of coaches and practicing and everything like that, I think will help ZUNIGA out a lot. So hopefully we see some growth there. In the fourth round, we had 3 picks in the fourth round. With our first fourth round pick 120, we took LaMichael PERINE. He's 5'11", 218 pounds. He graded out on Pro Football Focus as a 58 overall and finished as the 65th best running back in the NFL. His yards per rush, 3.6. Total yards, 232 rush yards, and then touchdowns was 2. I was very sort of frustrated with PERINE. Not really so much at him. I like PERINE. I'm excited to kind of see him. He sort of reminds me of like Bilal Powell a little bit. Like, I don't think he'll ever be a star running back or your bell cow or any sort of thing like that. But I think a third down running back that can catch passes out of the backfield, is a little more shifty, is kind of where he has a home. And that this is right around the round that you would take a running back of that sort of stature. Now, I do like Ty Johnson more. I think he provided a little bit more well-roundedness to his game. We saw, look, the biggest issue here in our running back room, it's the elephant in the room. It was Frank Gore. Frank Gore got way too many touches as a 37-year-old running back. I like Frank Gore. I respect Frank Gore's career. But when you are as bad as the Jets are, you need to be playing your young guys, and Adam Gase just didn't do that. So LaMichael PERINE got stuck behind a very old running back and just really didn't have a shot to develop the way we would have liked. I would have liked to have seen him get some more touches. Again, feed this guy some reps going into next year's preseason. beginning of the year next year, and let's see what we got. I do think we have to add a running back in free agency or the draft this year. I would lean more towards the draft, maybe with like the 3rd round pick or something. Someone like a Kenny Gainwell, maybe a Najee Harris, Travis Etienne, one of those guys. If that's your cup of tea, all potential possibilities here. I gave this a solid C, and this is more of a, I don't want to say an incomplete grade, but I just want to see more reps out of him. I think he could play a part, and if he plays that part well, if he becomes that Bilal Powell role, I think this is an even better grade than that. So overall, C for LaMichael Perine. Then we get to our second pick in the 4th round, and this was one that we were scratching our heads when the pick was made because a lot of us wanted wide receiver in this spot. And that's James Morgan at pick 125, 6'4", 213 pounds. He had no snaps at all this entire season. We got to see Flacco in the backup role, and then obviously Sam Darnold. We desperately need to see what this guy had, and I think a full preseason and offseason is really going to be helpful here. Maybe that's why we didn't see him this season, is because he was a quarterback, very limited reps. No point in playing him if he doesn't know the system or anything like that. So this pick I did not like at all. It was a real head scratcher for me. I don't think he shows any sort of great upside aside from being like a backup quarterback at the very best. We'll see where that goes. So I gave this an F. This was an easy grade for me. I'm not even going to spend too much time on it, but I still do not like this draft pick 1 year later now. In our 4th round, 3rd pick 129, this is Cameron Clark coming in at 6'5", 294 pounds. This is another player, no snaps, desperately needed guard help. We saw Alex Lewis kind of sputter and most likely going to get cut after this season. We brought in Elfline from the Vikings on waivers, trying to fill that sort of spot. Cameron Clark, I really thought this was an opportunity for him to show us a little bit this year, and we didn't actually see any snaps from him. We didn't get any playing time from Cameron Clark this year. Definitely a little disappointing in that respect. So I gave this a D. I didn't want to give him an F because it is a later round pick, and I do think the position was a position of need. Hopefully the guy can start to pan out. Even if he's just solid rotational depth, you need depth on the offensive line because that's going to be what drives this whole team forward. It's going to be how you get your rushing yards. It's going to be how you protect your quarterback. So even if this is not a starting caliber guard, I'm still okay with this selection. I just, would have liked to have seen him play. So as of right now, I'm just giving him a D. 5th round. This is one of my favorite picks that we made this year. And I know Green Bean was super high on this guy, and that's Bryce Hall with pick 158. He's 6'1", 200 pounds, the cornerback from Virginia. Absolutely played lights out once he got healthy and onto the field. He had 36 tackles and 2 pass breakups this season. He's likely going to be one of our 2 outside cornerbacks next season. We definitely, I wouldn't say he's cornerback 1. I think we still need to add a cornerback 1 in the draft or in free agency. But just solving one of those cornerback slots is like kind of nice. I'm really excited to see what we get out of him next season. This for me, home run of a pick at this stage late in the draft. If you're getting a starter, especially at a premium position like cornerback, that needs to be weighed differently. So when you think about, these grades, a D and F, in the 4th round, this is an A in the 5th round, 100% an A. I put it as an A+ for Bryce Hall. I think this is a home run selection. This is the type of player you want to go after, a guy that had an injury, that has a ton of upside, that could really produce for your team. So this was a home run pick for Joe Douglas, in my opinion. 6th round, this was our last pick of the draft, pick 191. This is BRADEN, MANN, our punter. 5'11", 195 pounds. Pro Football Focus graded him as a 64.4. Pro Football Focus rank, he was the 20th ranked punter. For average, he ranked 27th in the league. I want to say it was like 41 yards or something around that or so. Punts inside the 20, he ranked 22nd. So again, he's in the bottom half of the league in terms of punters. He did have the most punts in the NFL, which isn't so much a good stat for him as much as it is a bad stat for our offense and our team in general. So I don't know if that's really a great stat. Long for the year was 60 yards. So that was nice. The guy's got a ton of leg strength. And the dude had 4 tackles. He had the infamous heartbreaking tackle on the kick return against the Rams that saved the touchdown. Good form. I was very, I'm not going to say I was happy with that tackle, but having a kicker or a punter that's not afraid to stick his helmet in somewhere, not the worst thing. It just not the best situation when you're going for Trevor Lawrence at that point in time. So Braden Mann, for this, I gave him a C. I think it's just a young punter, being in the bottom half of the league. It's a rookie year. I don't expect him to stay that low. I think he will progress up. I do think this is a type of situation where Joe Douglas could look at kicker late in the draft this year too. Just try to solve a starter, because across this whole draft, at the very least, you have 4 starters in Becton, MIMS, Mann, and Hall. Those are exciting, and then you have some pieces that could really develop, as we move forward here. So, like I said, C for Braden Mann. Overall, this grade. Let's take a look at the pros and cons for this draft class. I think we got a stud left tackle, a very promising young wide receiver that I think is going to get a lot more reps and is going to look really good, especially if we get a number 1 across from him. We have a stud number, not stud. We got a number 2 corner, a solid number 2 corner, at least to move forward with this year, and we can kind of see what we have in him as we go forward. I think we got a number 3 running back, or a backup running back at the very least. Going to have to get that, especially since Powell is no longer here. And we got a starting punter. So all pretty solid pros. Cons, Morgan pick, definitely not a good pick. I would not have gone backup quarterback there at that spot. I think receiver was definitely a bigger need at that point. It showed that it definitely was when we got into the season. So again, I don't love that pick. We got nothing from Zuniga or Clark. Those were, kind of dud picks, at least for year 1 of this draft. And like I said, we should have drafted another wide receiver. I think 2 wide receivers in the draft would have made a lot more sense to me. Overall, I gave Joe Douglas's first draft a B. And you might say, hey, wait, you're averaging all these grades. You got a D, you got an F, you got C's in there. How do you get a B? Well, again, I'm saying weighted average. So you get the left tackle, you get the receiver. 2 huge, huge areas of importance for the New York Jets last offseason. We needed to address those 2 positions. We got them done. Now, again, we still need an additional wide receiver, so not the best. That's why you get the F from James Morgan. And then you get the cornerback late. You get the punter. You get the potential safety to fill in for May and Adams. So overall, a B for Douglas's first draft. I like it if we can get drafts like this where you get maybe 4 players each year that's hitting on over half your draft picks. I think I'd be pretty happy with that type of success rate. Let me know what you guys think of this grade overall. Let me know what ranks you have your players, your draft picks. Show me all your report card stuff down below in the comments. And as always, guys, go Jets.